because she's not building one of those sexy products that it's sexy to sell a regular fintech product, have its saving applications. She's not selling to a very sexy audience that you just easily cold email and just easily reach out on LinkedIn and say, oh, let me show you a demo. Selling to a market that is not very easy to penetrate into, and I do respect her resilience. Bidemi, quick introduction before she begins. She's a techie that became a business person. I always respect the business to I always respect the business to the tech to business timeline. So she's one of those people, she kicked off in tech, right? And for some reason, she's probably going to share with us today. She pivoted growth, into um, partnerships, right? She kicked off her career back in bots of technologies, and later she moved into growth, worked at Crowdforce for a while, before she went on to start Hadi Finance with her co-founder. And today she's doing amazingly well, empowering African retailers with quality products and financial services. Bidemi, with our team, they've been able to empower over 1,000 African retailers, right, with financial services. And it's amazing. She's going to be sharing with us today from my experience, how she's been able to successfully capture the market, even with the resources that they have. I don't know who joined us early, heard me and her talking about how difficult it is to navigate this market. So she's going to be getting us into this. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat box. If you want to say something, you can raise your hands. Hi, Bidemi. How are you doing today? Are you ready for us?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet everyone here. I hope we had a great day. And as I asked Titi today, I asked her, how is Nigeria treating everyone? I hope Nigeria is treating everyone well. Okay, I think we're ready.
Right. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so let's have it. You're muted, just in case. Bidem, you can't hear you. Your mic is muted.
Yeah, I'm just trying to share my screen all at once. Sorry. Okay. All right, awesome. So I think everyone can see my screen. Yeah, please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can. Yes,
Okay.
we
can. So hi once again. So my name is Bidemi Adebayo. I've worked. Oh, okay. I always don't like to give this biography most times, but I've worked with the informal sector for a while, and I think I've had family members who are active sellers, right? Who are retailers, who actually own one or two businesses, and we all know that today that the Africa GDP as of today makes like 60% of the informal market makes up at least 60% of the African GDP. So I think when I spoke with City, I'm like, we're always talking about sales on SaaS products, more of like tech-enabled product, that we've always forgotten about the main backbone of the economy, which is the informal markets, right? They are the one people that actually holds us down here today, right? And we've seen in situations whereby they are often felt neglected, right? I know it can be a very, very tough market, right? But these guys, as one guys that when you have them in your cycle, like you can grow, you can be whoever you want to be in terms of growing your businesses. We've seen guys like Money Point, OPay, make what they call good deals with these guys. So I think I'll be speaking more about understanding the informal market and how salespeople, right, can actually navigate this part. We've seen situations whereby a lot of us, like I've seen sales guys in my team tell me that, man, Bidemi, I can't do this. It's crazy. I just want to focus on more of like working with a SaaS company where I can code emails, have virtual calls and stuff like that. But for the informal market, right, you need to get your hands dirty. you need to be on the ground, you need to be on the field, you need to speak with these guys, right? I think in Nigeria, informal businesses include traders, artisans, transport operators, small shop owners. And one of their, what they call it, common traits is limited access to formal financial services. Most of them actually are very, very comfortable with the kind of business they do. Most of them are not ready to evolve. For instance, right, we have a trader in Aba, just like here. He's actually very, very comfortable doing his business. And if you go there, I was in Aba like a few months ago. I've seen a very small shop doing a turnover of like 6 million naira monthly, right? Turnover, and he's actually cash based, strictly cash based. And when we spoke to him, it was like, oh man, I don't want to add any other services to my businesses because I don't even know, I don't trust fintechs, I don't trust the banks. So these are one of the common traits of the informal markets as of today. Please let me know if you can hear me clearly. Okay, can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I think today, right, there are why tech enabled products matters for the informal market and how it can change the whole ecosystem, right? We can see that today statistics have shown that we have about 70% mobile penetrations in the market today, right? There's internet, digital tools, opportunities to streamline operations, improve efficiency, and increase sales, right? There's mobile payments, there's inventory management tools, there's e-commerce platforms, there's logistical transport apps as of today, right? We've seen how small businesses can go from point A to point B using these tech-enabled tools, and that is why it is very, very important for us selling to them. I think one of the major sales challenges for the market is the low tech illiteracy, right? Majority of these businesses actually, I have seen situations like today we're speaking with a retailer today because what we do at Hadi Hadi today is that we provide inventory financing to retailers. We allow retailers stock up their shop on credit where we pay on their behalf, and we have a mobile app. And most of these retailers are actually very, very comfortable with their account officer applying for them, downloading the app because they trust the account officers who are mostly the on-field sales team, which we got in the neighborhood. Those guys that are actually very, very close in the community. Now, these guys are very, very important in this ecosystem because they actually bridge that gap in terms of literacy, right? So many informal businesses are not even familiar with advanced tech, right? So that is why it's very, very important we build solutions that they are easy for them to understand. So most of them are very, like, they are laid back because they're only comfortable with their Facebook, their WhatsApp. Let me just watch videos. Let me just move on, right? Let me just count my money and deposit in the bank, or let me keep it in my house, right? Well, another thing, they are very resistant to change. I can tell you, for example, today, right? Most of these informal retailers they're actually used to cash-based loans, right? Like what Lapo grooming has done for them, right? They can actually come together, sign guarantors form, someone sign guarantor, they fill the form on their what they call it, with their pen and biro, and the next thing is okay, they get cash, right? So they are very, very resistance to change is a very big problem in the sales in one of the informal markets. Another thing is they believe that adding technology to their business actually going to increase costs, right? I can see most times, I think when POS started, when we had the banks, GA, Global Salary bringing in POSs, right? One of the biggest bottleneck for this, what they call it, retailers, agents, is this POSs. How can I afford it? Right, it's too high for my business. The cost is too high, the charges is too high. So that perception of high cost is a problem. Now, another challenge we have seen in the market of today is fear of regulation. And I can tell you for a whole fact that most retailers, one of their biggest problem is that they do not want to come online because they don't want to pay tax, right? They are scared of regulators. They are scared of people having, like, the banks, government having access to their businesses, looking at what they are making. They are scared of, like, actually remitting to the government. So these are one of the challenges that we face today in the market, right? When we try to sell products to this set of customers. Now, I think one thing I have learned over the years as what they call it, working in sales, growth, partnership, dealing with the informal market is you need to build trust through personal relationship. Now, trust is a very, very key factor as of today, right? As I told you, as I said earlier on, right, part of the way we are penetrating the market for us at Hadi is using local presence, right? You need to find someone that understands that is in that community, right, that these people can relate to. And I'll give an instance, right? Before the Money Point blew as of today, right, we've had guys that have done it, right? We have had guys that have been in the agency banking for years, right? And one key thing I know Money Point understood is distribution, right? Using local presence, right? Using aggregators like someone in the community that is actually that feels okay, it's very powerful and can connect to these retailers. They've used that to actually acquire as much users as possible. Now you need to create what we call a human connection, right? Because for salespeople should always position themselves as problem solvers, not just sellers. Why I said this is because for the informal markets, it's all about relationship. It's all about that connection. They want to know that you understand their problem. For instance, my mom owns a shop today. I think she was one of our first customer at Hadi. When we wanted to launch, I spoke to her. I was like, oh, okay, so your shop, right? You need stock. Where do you buy your goods from? You need stock. You're always going to the market, right? What we can do is that, and you're always looking for capital to expand your business. Why don't I sign you up on our mobile app, and we'll be able to, you'll be able to access credits to be able to grow your business. And she was like, credit care. Why am I using credits? Like, she's very comfortable with what she's doing. I'm like, see, there is no business today that does not use credits. Even the biggest of all, guys like Dangote and stuff like that, actually use credit to grow their business. So why are you scared of it? So what I did with her was more of like put that personal connection to it and say, this is how how our product can solve your problem. And ever since then, since 2022 till now, she has been one of our top customers, and it has grown to her actually referring more women around her. So that touch of human connection is actually very, very important. Now, I think I just spoke about leverage testimonials, right? So in this cycle, in this informal cycle, right, it's actually a very, very small cycle. Like, they speak to each other in normal women meetings. They speak to each other in in the neighborhood. So these testimonials actually help to drive to acquire more users and actually help you make sales more. That's one thing about leveraging testimonials. Now, I think another thing is fear of regulation. Now, for tech product as a tool that enhances business, enhances their business rather than replacing their existing way of working. So I've seen situations whereby we always want to, like in the African settings, right? We always copy what we see abroad, and we always want to replicate here. But it's quite different, right? This is something that most people that have MBAs from top Oxford schools actually find difficult, right? There's something we need to learn is that we do not need to change their way of life. We only need to make it simple for them to be able to work. So replacing the existing process can be very difficult thing for them. So I always advise that we actually make it like, okay, for example, if they're used to working with A, now how can they work with A better? Make it very, very easy for them to work with. So that is something that we need to do in terms of sales strategy and building trust. Okay, another thing is demonstrate practical values, right? You only need to understand their core needs as a salesperson, right? Visit, speak to them, understand what exactly they need, like personalize it, right? Put them in your shoes for you to be able to sell to them, right? You must always rely on local teams and relationship within the community. As I said, right, one of the things that made agency banking grow up as much as possible is aggregators. Agents. Aggregators are people that are within the community. Maybe one of those airborne that is very, what they call it, steadfast in the community. Use them to acquire users. That is one thing. And they understand their need, and those feedbacks can actually help you develop better processes. Now, emphasize cost savings or revenue growth. Now, for every informal market today, for every person that actually in the informal sector, their main focus is sales. They just want to sell. That is it. You just want to have cash in, cash out. You just want to make money, right? Most of the time, some of them do not even think of profits. To be sincere, most of them are actually focused on how much comes in, how much goes out, right? Imagine I buy I'm a provision store. I buy a carton of Indomie 17,000 naira from Omnibs. How much can I sell it? How much can I make? Right. So these are the things that help that these informal retailers look at. So you need to be able to break down this process for them, actually show them how they can make money most of the times. Now, also another thing is hands-on demonstration, right? You need to be very, very practical. And I think I've seen that daily. Most times they always want to be handheld, right? And practicals, your AOs, your account officer, your field guys, right, need to understand the importance of practical demos, videos, support, real-time support with these guys. That is another way of sales strategy to acquire these guys to sell to this informal sector. I think another way is another strategy I think has worked so far for me, and I think for few businesses that are on this call, is make it simple and accessible, right? I remember when we launched at first in 2022, where we started as a retail distribution company. One thing we did was that we didn't build any tech solution. What we did was use WhatsApp bots, right? And it was very, very easy for us to acquire a first set of customers. We made it very, very simple. I think that's why USSD codes have come to play, right? Very, very simple. Avoid technical jargons. We just focus on solving their problem, and that has helped us to keep iterating and making it better, right? Another thing is training and onboarding, right? Provide simple training sections or support through in-person visits or easy to follow guides. But I'll tell you that in-person visit does lots of wonders, right? It makes them feel that you understand their pain and you're here to solve their problems for them, right? And also use familiar technology, right? Most informal market right now, I tell you that we have over 70% penetration, mobile penetration, right? Use tools that they are very, very familiar with. Make it very, very. I think it's something that product guys actually are. They keep learning every day, right? Mobile apps are actually doing great things, and if businesses can actually function on WhatsApp, please, why not? Right? There are some businesses that do not need. There are some startups that do not need to have a mobile application because of how simple and how efficient it can be. So you can just use WhatsApp tools to make it very, very better for them. I think one of the sales strategy again is handling common objections, right? When you sell, I think this is very, very important. When you sell to the informal market, you always get this feedback: I don't need this. Some of them will even give you, okay, why are you trying to speak to me? I don't need this. I'm very comfortable, as I earlier said, right? You need to show them how this can solve their problem. Another thing you get is it's too expensive. You people are charging too much. Oh, it's too expensive. There's always going to be a price war in the informal market. So you need to always find a balance there. It's not about reducing prices, right? It's all about sustainability, how stable your technology is, how this solution can help their businesses, right? So these feedbacks are always going to come in, right? It's too expensive, I can't afford it. I remember when agency banking started, right? We had situations whereby some businesses, they were charging like 0.5% on every transactions, right? And a lot of users were dropping terminals, going for the cheaper route, cheaper alternative, right? But people are now saying that it's not about being cheap, it's about being efficient. So these are things that you need to be able to sell to this sector. So these are normal rejections you get in the informal sector. Now another thing you get is, I don't trust the technology. Who are you? I get this every day. When our account officers, our sales team gives us feedback, I'll be like, what happened today? I'll be like, oh, it wasn't easy today. We're at Idumota market. We're speaking to retailers, trying to bring them on board to use our technology to access inventory finance, and they will tell you, I don't trust technology. Till today, we still have feedback of retailers telling you, I cannot impute my BVN on your application because I don't know you. Right? I cannot impute my NI. What if you hack me? So these are stories, these are common rejections you get today when you are selling to the informal market. So one thing that we've used to tackle this is share stories of similar businesses that have been successful. Like we do more of like we always get feedback, do community gathering where people that have used our services several times, they've come to say, oh, this works for me. Oh, yes, they've not no, I've not had any case of fraud. I've not had any case of identity theft. These are how my business has been growing. So these are things that you need to tackle these common objections you get in the market. I think another strategy is that closing the deal with confidence, right? I know the informal market, when you're selling to them, it drags a lot, right? It's not compared to B2B where you have to follow like bigger SMEs where you have to take months, right, or years. But for the informal market, right, I know there are sometimes that you need to close out a client, you need your team to close out this set of customer as fast as possible. It can be very, very tedious, but one thing is you need to close with confidence, right? Create that sense of urgency. Most times it's like trials, limited offers, discounts. I remember we had to slash down interest rate for a while and say, come on board, right? Use the service for the first three, use it for 3 times. Look at how it works for you, and if it's good for you, then you can keep using it. And since then, we've been able to balance our pricing. So those sense of urgency is very, very important. Now, another thing is follow up consistency. Today is a sales manager. We've been trying to onboard some distributors on our team, and one thing we realized that we've been following this man for like 2 years. This business, it's actually a very small, I'll say MSME business, but looks big. We've been following this person for like over a year, back and forth, trying to bring him on board. And he tells you, I'm not interested, I don't trust your tech, I'm very comfortable with my business. But I think today we were able to say, okay, that constant follow-up, right, actually shows that we are going to support them beyond the initial sales, right? So it has worked for us, and we've been able to close this person. So this constant follow-up with this, speaking their language, understanding them, right? That follow-up consistently actually makes closing deals very, very easy. Another thing that has worked is flexibility, right? I've seen in the ages, I think why everybody has a terminal today, POS terminal, is that flexibility. You can actually own a POS terminal today and pay lease. You don't need to buy it. You can pay like 10,000 or 20,000 to acquire a POS terminal. So that flexibility has actually made acquisition in this informal market very easy. Same thing with I'll give an instance in terms of e-commerce platforms. In terms of e-commerce platforms, the riders that actually do the delivery, so most of them are actually informal, right? One thing that has worked with them is that flexible payment. You can own a bike and be paying bit by bit, right? That actually increase appeals for these customers and actually helps you close deals better and acquire retailers as much as possible. I think one of this, I just read success stories. Like I've seen food vendors in Lagos using digital payment system that reduces thefts and simplifies sales tracking. I've seen logistics business in Abuja using a tech app to offer deliveries service, increases customer base by 30%. So this has actually worked in real time. I can give an instance where a trader in Enugu who we onboarded like had problem with managing their inventory, but we're able to provide solutions for them. And they've been using it to what they call it, manage their inventory as much as possible. Like it has actually reduced theft, it has actually reduced waste, and actually help him actually expand to different locations around Enugu. So these are things that has helped technical success in this real world as of today. Now, I think one thing we use to measure success, like what does it look like success for the informal sector, right? Is always the number of informal businesses you've been able to speak with, right? How you've converted them as much as possible. Now, this thing about retention. Now, how often do they use your products? How often are they referring, right? Are they comfortable using your products? Those are things that you use to track success. Another thing we've seen in real time is user feedback. And if you are not getting feedback, that means you're not doing anything right, right? Both positive, negative feedback, it's something that you need to collect, right? And filter the one that works best for you in terms of sales approach. But feedbacks are very, very important, right? No matter this, see, the truth is that they will always come back and tell you, they want better pricing, they want it this way, they want it that way. But that feedback actually helps you to understand that people actually invested in your product, and this your sales approach is actually working efficiently. So I think my conclusion in this, because it's actually a very short call, is that we need tech-enabled products, right? And we need to have more salespeople focus in that area, right? We so much focus on the SaaS part of it, building like on the other part of it where we forgot, neglect these guys, right? So we need to actually focus more on these guys, because these are actually the backbone of the economy, and they actually are one of the people that actually bring it. Their 1 naira, 2 naira, 3 naira actually makes major impact in terms of growth and revenue. So I think my call to action is that we need to find a way to equip the informal sector with the tools that they need to grow and thrive, and also have the build amazing sales team that actually are focused on the informal sector. So I don't know if we have any questions, concerns. I'm always ready to take them.
Thank you so much, Bidemi. This has been super extensive. A couple questions from this end.
Okay.
Yeah. So first things first, part of the questions that we have from our end is for people who are been used to the regular kind of tech sales, right? Your LinkedIn, your laptop kind of tech sales, waltz into the office kind of tech sales, and have meetings, those power meetings where you hold your CEO, you hold your head of sales, you hold all of you. But who are used to that life and are trying to move into this kind of market, still selling tech products, but like to a different kind of market. What's that transition like? What are the what's because now prospecting method is going to change, all of these things is going to change. What's the easy way to transition, from what are the things that they need to know or they need to do to easily transition into that space?
Okay, I think it's still sales, right? It's just that you are used to more of the high class, right? I think it's more about mindset. Like I'm going to get dirty, right? I'm going to do a lot of field work, right? There's not going to be LinkedIn call, hey, hi, I'm from so on LinkedIn, sending messages on LinkedIn. It's more about people speaking their languages, going on the field. So it's mindset, right? You need to evolve and get that mindset that yes, I am going into this space that is quite different from where I'm coming from, right? And how am I going to evolve? You need to look at things that are going to make it easy, simplify processes, like the processor you are used to, you need to leave it one side and actually get new processes. That way you'll be able to transition. But I think it's just mindset for me, right? Because there is no manual to this thing. That's the truth, Titi. There's no single manual. You you can wake up today and say, I want to like get a job in a fintech that actually focus on the informal market, right? Those skills you've learned work selling to high businesses can actually be transferred, right? And that's where mindset comes in. I am trying to what do you call it, evolve. So how do I get better? So it's a mindset thing.
Thank you. Koi has a question. Koi is asking, I think that this is actually a very good question. How do you handle defaults in payments, considering the volatility of the Nigerian economy?
See, I'm going to use this word. See, the truth is there's Shaggy Pro Max. It's everywhere. So you still have SMEs owing, right? SMEs are owing, informal market are owing. I think it's it depends on your risk assessment, right? How effective is your risk assessment? How effective is your risk assessment, and how much follow-ups do you do? I'll give you an instance, right? We do inventory financing for the informal market, and I'll tell you, there's actually we are aware of the volatility of the Nigerian economy. But one thing we've done is that we've looked at the numbers. For us, one thing we look at is how much sales do you make in a month. We look at that. What do you call it? Look at that. Add that to our risk assessment. it now makes us understand what you are capable of collecting in terms of inventory financing, right? Another thing is in terms of payment, default payment, we do what we call follow-ups. I always say for the informal market, right, it's more about relationships. Also, even if you put the whole collection, the whole direct debits and stuff like that into your system, when a customer default, there are sometimes that you don't even have those tools do not work. What actually helps you is relationships. So I think one thing is your risk assessment needs to be airtight, right? I think also we also need to focus on sustainable growth, not quality over quantity. My co-founders always say that, right? As a lending business, for instance, right, what we focus more is quality, right? If you focus more on quantity, your default rates will increase, will go off the roof. So you need to focus on quality, and that is having quality signups, vetting them in terms of KYC, risk assessment, and also in terms of that relationship building, on-field relationship building. That's another way to drive that, reduce that default.
Well, thank you, Koi. I hope that answers your question. Amazing. So Donald have a question.
Yeah, amazing session, by the way. And my question is regarding, just when you were saying, how one thing you have to do is like you have to find somebody who is quite familiar with the area, and then use that person as a as a segue to like grow and capture that particular market, right? I think just want to understand, especially if you are looking to expand, or for businesses that are in informal sector that are looking to expand. The truth is you will not always know everybody from a particular area, right? So what has worked best for you in terms of finding the right person that would like actually that has the influence to like capture that particular market that you are now expanding to?
Okay, I'll give an instance, right? I remember when we wanted to launch Abba, which is the weirdest place of all. I remember when we said, okay, let's try, because Abba has one is a big retail hub. I actually visited, we had to spend time in Abba. We did a lot of feasibility studies, spoke with associations, right, unions, where we tried to get embed ourselves into their day-to-day activities, right? That was how we were able to identify one solid person that actually is fit for our team, right? So I think what has worked for me is that understanding of the markets, right? If I'm moving to Lagos today, if I'm opening a new branch somewhere or expanding to the new state, one thing we do is actually you need to do that check. You need to spend time in that state, speak with businesses, right? Unions, associations actually help a lot, right? You'll be able to identify that right fit. It may not be essentially that right fit, but you'll be able to find someone that actually can start up from where you need to start from. So I think that visibility study is very, very important. Also understanding that market terrain is essential, and also communities actually help a lot. Like communities where people who have worked in that area is very, very important. And another thing that has helped for me in particular is unions. We've used unions a lot, like speaking to them. They tell you who is what's trustworthy, who is actually can help you drive this acquisition you need for you. So it's relative, right? Depending on these areas. But what has worked for me is that constant visibility studies, visiting that area, spending as much time as needed, right? Understanding what their needs is. They need it. Customers in Abuja is different from customers in Lagos. The way they think is different from the way the customer in Lagos. The north is actually different entirely, even in the southeast. So you need to spend time there, speak with unions, associations that can actually help you point out to people that actually has a stronghold of the community, and you can use their influence to acquire users. You can use their influence to talk to the users in that area. So that's what has worked for me so far. I don't know if I answered your question, Donald.
Yeah, right on
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so Olusegun has his hands up. Do you want to go now? Hi, Olusegun, are you still there? Okay, then Koye.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know I'm still muted. Hi, good evening. Thank you, Bidemi. I think I have two questions for you. You know, I think it has to do with operations when you have to convince the informal marketers, like the woman selling what you actually want to sell to them in the open market, and then you want them to use your tech platform. Because I've had a similar experience where they will say that we should have to send somebody to them. They'll keep helping them to place orders on the platform. Meanwhile, the goal is to actually allow them to do this on their own without having to send a field guy all over the time to get them order. So I don't know how you've been able to manage that, or is there
Okay.
anything you can share?
Okay.
And
I think
then sales and
let
also
me let me take
payments.
let me take them one by one before I mix them together, right?
Okay.
So this thing is actually very, very common in the informal sector. And I'll give you instance, right? Logistics, I've seen I'll give an example for there are some businesses like that, like Chowdeck, right? There's a restaurant I visited in Lagos, and I found that Chowdeck had an operator there, waiting, sitting down there, helping people to take orders, right? I've seen that in real time. And I'll tell you, even for us, that we have to pair retailers to distributors, right? I have seen where distributors will tell you, I don't understand your people's solution. I cannot use your mobile app. I cannot use your web application. And if you want me to use it, bring somebody here. Now, I think what works most times is for them is just trust, right? You just need to give them that level of confidence for a while and keep teaching them, iterating as much as possible. So far, if it's a very important business you need to close, right, you will have to find a solution to it. You have to bring someone there, right? You can actually appoint, maybe get the customer support person, right, tie them to that account and say, I need you to monitor this account. I need you to liaise with them. I need you to give them everything they need, right? If they use your product, you use your product for a while, maybe like 2 to 3 months, and they see that it's seamless, right? There's someone there, they will actually take up the mantle and take charge by themselves. I know it can be very, very difficult, but it's something that you most times you need to just find a balance to it. I don't know if I answered your question, Mr. Shegun.
Yeah, you do. Thank you. I think it also covers the second question I wanted to ask.
Oh, yeah. What's the question again? The second question.
Yeah, the second question was around trust on payments, but you actually kind of answered it in terms of having to create trust because I think the product we have, they also have to make payment on the platform. And then it's always a difficult time when it comes to payments. They'll tell you, I have the cash, come and collect your money. And we don't want the cash. We actually want them to use the platform. And then it's always been difficult to get them to use the platform. So most of the time, we go to the market with them, and then it's always a stressful work for us.
It's just to build trust, right? For us, right, what we do is we pay on behalf of the retailer most times, right? We pay the distributor have an application where they receive money from Hadi, like distributor within an ecosystem. I can tell you, sometimes distributor will tell you, I get calls on support line that tell you, distributors say they are not releasing goods, they see that money drop in their own business account, their own personal account, right? So we have that situation most times, but what we've done is, like, we build that level of trust. Like, we've seen that we've allowed our process to be very, very seamless. Whenever they move funds from their wallets, their own personal account, it hits on time. And also, they've seen the value of what we bring to them, right? Imagine a business doing 200,000 in a week, and Hadi's paying with retailers, and you're doing over 1 million naira or 2 million naira in a week. We've built that level of trust, and we build that level that Hadi is very, very important to them. So you need to that trust is important. You need to also provide value to them. Now, once you be able to provide trust and value, then it goes a long way.
Thank you so much for that.
All right. So Koye has a question as well. Hi, Koye.
Yeah, hi. Thank you very much, Bidemi. So my question is this: how do you build a sustainable business on an informal economy that is extremely volatile. Now, what I mean is this: the informal sector in Nigeria or in Africa is replete with a lot of issues. You will hear today that a market caught fire. Tomorrow you will hear that government has demolished a market and all of them are out of place. Another time you can hear that a certain, maybe the land that those people are selling on is not for them. The owner has come and sent them away. All those kinds of issues. So how are you able to build a sustainable business? How do you know that your business will be here tomorrow when you're not even sure that your customers will be here tomorrow?
I think Kuye packed this one for me and like, see, I need to understand how you busy. Okay, so I would say yes, we agree that it's a very volatile economy. It's like the whole but that's where we're building providing solutions comes in, right? You're giving so many scenarios in terms of the volatility of the economy. I think that is where different products comes in. Insurance, building product that actually can help reduce that volatility as much as possible, right? That's what has worked so far, and that's what people see. That is what we envision, right? That's why we are building products, because we know it's volatile. There's nothing. The economy is a mess. We know that, right? But we believe and we've seen that having access to different products for this informal sector can actually reduce the vulnerability as much as possible. So that's why you see that people are actually iterating, building insurance products, micro insurance that can cover in case of theft, in case of damages, in case of loss, credit product that can actually help them grow their business from point A to B, health insurance too. So these are the things that actually helps mitigate these issues that you are concerned about, right? I don't think there's actually a direct approach, because I'm not an economist, I'm a business person, but I believe that layering different products, giving them access to different products can actually reduce it as much as possible. I don't know if I answered your question, Koye.
Yeah. Essentially, I think what I got from your answer is other people should also serve the informal economy to ensure that some of these concerns are mitigated
Yes,
against.
yes.
All right,
Yes.
that's fine. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I think let me put this right. As you said, right? You remember when we had where we were queuing for what they call it, for cash and pay on the ATMs, right? We used to have long queues. Please, when last did anybody, Koye, when last did you use the ATM machine?
It's been a while, very long time.
Very long time, right? Now imagine if guys did not build, like, more POSs did not come into place. This, like, then I'm sure you had those concerns, like, how long do I want to queue for? So that's why it's very important for us to have layers of product. People need to build for this market. That way we can, there's so much we can do, right? But still, yet it still boils down to the kind of governance we have. But with the little we can do, we need to actually layer different products as much as possible.
Okay, thank you so much, Bidemi. Another question here is, for a lot of informal businesses in informal sectors, a lot of them don't run according to protocol, right? A lot of them don't keep so many rules, and I think we talked about this earlier. For them to start using your product, they would have to then they'd have to uncover themselves from the hiding places. How do you deal with these situations where, for example, someone who hasn't been paying tax before, now when they start using your product, they would be registered in some ways. Now they get exposed. How do you deal with, situations like that where the user or the customers are scared of, the changes that would come with them adopting your product?
Education is very, very important. Sanitization, right? As of today, I remember when agents, I always use agency banking because I have worked with them. I remember when there was this 15 naira stamp duties, where everybody was complaining that I'm not going to use the POSs again, or when the government is saying that every agent in the industry must have register their business, right? Please, how many of the business have packed up? They haven't, right? So now it is value proposition. How important is this product to them? If the product is very, very valuable to them, I'm telling you, you've kept them, right? And also if you have built that trust system for them, right? That's what has worked so far. So value proposition and trust is very, very important in keeping this segment of customer that is always complaining about regulation. And also another thing is education. How important is this sanitization? How often are you doing sanitization about tax, about incomes and stuff like that? How important is this sanitization going on? Now, once you sanitize them, once they see the value, once they trust you, they stay.
Nice. Thank you so much. I think that's all of the questions that we have. Others have been answered in one way or the other. Thank you very much for making time out for this. If you are joining us for the first time, this session is hosted by TSP. If you're not a member of the community, you should join right away. I'm going to drop our link in the chat box. For everyone who wants the slide, don't worry, we got you. We're going to drop the link to the slide in the community on the learning channel for you to look through. And for those waiting for the recording as well, it's going to be shared in the community. Here's the link to the community Slack channel if you're joining us for the first time. So we would usually have sessions like this on a monthly basis. And we don't just focus on one part. We literally look through the pain points of a mid-level salesperson or a mid-level BD person and then pick topics that we know are very vital to their career growth. Follow those socials as well. Yeah, I'm gonna be dropping links and all for you to follow us. Thank you so much, Bidemi. Please, are you open to people connecting with you outside of the TSP session? Can I drop your LinkedIn profile?
Yes, please. I'm always excited to connect with salespeople. We always focus on SaaS product. Please, I want to see people doing more of it. And also when we are even hiring, right? So referrals to goes a long way. When we are referring people, like people in the ecosystem, I say, oh, I'm looking for a salesperson in this part. Like it's always helps the community as much as possible. So please share.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Thank you very much, Bidemi. We don't take this for granted. This has been a very enlightening session. It's not every day we have sessions that focus on the informal sector in tech, or we just like focused on the very fine market. Thanks for making time out for this. We do appreciate you. Do enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone, and see you next month. If you are not a part of the community, you should join our session. You should then follow us on socials and keep us on post notification so that you don't miss any of the sessions that we announce, on a monthly basis. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your day. Rest of your evening. Bye.
Bye, Titi.
Bye. Bye, Anu. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Koye. Thank you. Okay.